Hello and welcome to Red Piranha's latest knowledge sprint. We really appreciate you spending some time with us. Today we will be discussing some important new guidelines that have been issued by governments around the world. The Australian Signals Directorate, in conjunction with some global cybersecurity authorities, have issued some quite compelling guidelines. They've worked with the US Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, the FBI, and the NCSC, and have established some very comprehensive guidelines to bolster organizational resilience and safety. In support of these timely recommendations, Rep Piranha team will be discussing the guidelines and how to provide stronger cyber defense using our range of crystallized solutions. In particular, we will cover the threat detection and logging features of our solutions. Without taking too much more time in preamble, I will hand over to the team who will take you through today's presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, George. Hey guys, good morning. My name's Roland. I'm a cybersecurity engineer working in Red Piranha, specializing in incident response. Today we'll be talking about threat detection and logging. In today's cybersecurity landscape, we are seeing increasingly sophisticated attacks, especially from APTs, which are highly organized, stealthy attacks that can remain undetected with a network or within extended periods of time. One of our primary techniques used by the APTs is leaving of the land, or LOTL. These attacks that the attacker leverages are legitimate tools already present in the system or the environment they are in to carry out their activities. This makes it harder for traditional security measures to detect them since nothing is overtly malicious is happening, or at least in the surface. And on top of that, attackers often use lateral movement and pivoting techniques to explore the network and gain more access to your critical assets and probably your crown jewels. This involves moving from one of the compromised machine to another, gradually escalating their privileges until they can reach their final target, such as sensitive data or control of your systems. That's where effective threat detection and comprehensive event logging come in. By monitoring all of the network events, you gain visibility into what's happening into your systems. Logging is critical because it allows us to detect unusual patterns such as unexpected logins and help us identify a potential breach. Which causes a widespread damage. On this talk, we will be talking about uh, these best practices for event logging. Then we'll go into the segmenting of your network, and then we'll go for the intrusion detection and protection by the crystal eye, passive encryption control, and isolating your segments. So ASD's best practices. They noted uh, four of the best practices that we can implement or companies can follow as their guidelines. First and foremost is the event logging policy. Companies should implement a comprehensive event logging policy to ensure their key systems activities like access changes and errors. These should be logs, including the critical auditing and investigating, which is critical for investigating security incidents. Event log should have event log quality. They should consider operational technology if the company should have it. They should also consider content and format consistency and timestamp, including the log retention. They mentioned that when assessing the risk to the system, it can take up to 18 months to discover the cyber incident. So you have to consider how long will you keep the logs there for us defenders to continue to widen or search for these kinds of incidents. And the next point that they mentioned is centralized event log and access correlation. Centralized log management ensures the efficient access and threat correlation. These help us defenders to track activities across systems and enabling us for faster detection. You should prioritize enterprise networks, operational technology systems, and mobile, including the cloud computing platforms. Third is the secure storage and integrity. This ensures our logs are securely stored, encrypted, and protected from tampering. And regular validation of log integrity to prevent data breaches. The first is the detection strategy. Here, eh, logs will be securely uh, logs will be helping us for detecting living of the land techniques. And for your references, we've included the link for the ASD's best practices for you to read more. How do we detect the APTs movement through lateral movement? First, we have to check what is lateral movement. Lateral movement is how attackers maneuver within your network after gaining initial access. As you can see in the image, the network is pretty flat and there's no network segmentation. So once the attacker gain access in one system, he can easily see or access each and every endpoints that you will have. So why they use lateral movement techniques? Attackers don't just stop in the initial point of entry. They explore the network seeking out sensitive data or systems, and lateral movement lets them pivot to one machine to another to gain more credentials or tools or get more data from you. The common techniques for lateral movement are remote services. Attackers exploit the RDP, SMB, and SSH ports. Pass the hash is also known, and pass the ticket, which is using the stolen Kerberos tickets to move within systems. Windows admin shares as well, to name a few. So how do we mitigate these kinds of attacks? There are some common mitigation that we can implement. First and foremost is the easiest one and the most cost effective based on the sliding scale of security architecture is the most beneficial for you, and it will be less costly for your team to implement. Network segmentation is splitting your network into chunks to help defenders like us to contain incidents and manage incidents once we are breached. Another one is multi-factor authentication. Even if the attacker still login credentials, there's additional layer of security if they're able to get our login credentials, preventing them to get the one-time code sent to our mobile apps. Next is the privilege management. Users should only have access to data and systems that they need. You don't need your HR to be accessing admin endpoints or admin accounts from your IT. Lastly is log monitoring. Continuous log monitoring access to all of your system will help the defenders see what's happening in your network, and then they can see anomalous behavior like increased traffic within your east-west. For example, someone accessing SMB frequently within the day, that's a red flag, and then we defenders can look into it and investigate more. Combining these strategies when used together will be multiple layer of defense. Even if the attacker bypass one measure, others will help for it to make them slow down. So next is let's focus on the network segmentation and how this crystal eye can help us uh, on this. mitigation. As we have said, network segmentation is dividing your network into smaller chunks, and these chunks and sections or zones will have their own security policies. This approach prevents attackers from freely moving across the network once they breach it. Um, it can also help us containing it easier, and different segments will have tailored security rules. Will be tighter control for them. It will also reduce the attack surface of the attacker, since you're segmenting not only the whole company but for example teams. Now I give up the presentation to Dylan. Thank you.
Thanks, Roland. Hi, everyone. I'm Dylan. I'm part of Red Piranha's security operations team. And so I'll just be going through the rest of the presentation with you, just showing you how features of Crystal Eye keep to the best practices provided by ASD. So first up, I'll talk about the intrusion detection and detection and prevention system of Crystal Eye. So just starting up, with this system, there's 3 modes it can be running in. So it can either be in detection and protection mode, where it monitors the network traffic and logs events with the rules in its system. And if it makes a detection, it can either just alert uh, on that rule and the traffic continues, or it actually rejects the traffic and the rule is triggered and it sends a reject packet back. There's inline mode, where it's similar to detection and protection mode, but instead of rejecting the traffic, it actually just drops the traffic. So it sees the traffic, it creates an alert, but then it does not send a reject packet back, and all communication stops there. And then we have a network secure monitoring mode, or NSM mode, which is where it is just logging all the events, but not rejecting any of the traffic. And this system can also be run in a multi-tenancy mode. So what this means is that you can have multiple rule sets. So you can have different rule sets for each tenant and have those applied for different networks. Red Piranha does provide 5 preset rule sets, just to help with providing protection for different networks. So, for example, if you have a VLAN that has operational technologies endpoints on it, then we provide an operational technology rule set. Or if there's critical servers on a network, we have a security rule set where it rejects more traffic than just alerts on. And so, yeah, with those, you can assign different IDPS profiles to different zones or devices to help with that. And then we also have some anomaly detection. So we have some machine learning that it detects anomalous events. So if one day there's much more events that aren't normally seen, it'll create an alert for that, and you can check whether that was actually expected, or you can escalate it to the Red Piranha SOC team, and we can investigate it further. Yeah, this diagram just shows how you'd go about creating an IDPS profile. So you'd segment the network to start with, as Roland said, and then you create the IDPS rule sets, where you can create local rules and use some of the preset or pre-made rule sets that Red Piranha provides. And then you can create an IDPS profile where you can put it in the different modes. Some more about the rules and events that it creates. So The network rules are curated and updated frequently by the SOC team at Red Piranha. There's about over 60,000 rules, I believe, we currently provide. Not all of them are enabled for the rule sets. The maximum is about 40,000. But as I said, local rules can also be created as well. And any event seen on the Crystal can be escalated to Red Piranha's SOC team as well. And events on the Crystal are stored for 30 days. So if the SOC team needs access to the Crystal, we can get in and have a look and do some correlation there. But also events are sent to the SOC dashboard here at Red Piranha, and where further correlation is done, and we store the events for longer, 18 months by default. I'll talk a bit about the Crystallize passive encryption control as well. So this is a system designed for IoT devices that may, if they get infected, they may potentially try to connect to malicious CNC servers. So what this does is it monitors encrypted traffic. It captures a secure baseline by fingerprinting the traffic based on TCP handshakes between the IoT device and a server. And then that baseline can be applied, and any deviations from that are blocked. So if it suddenly tries to connect to a new server, it will create an alert and block that traffic. We also have the threat hunt dashboard, and this is where all the events are centralized and correlation can be done. And so you can filter by events and group them together across different systems. And so you can search for things like lateral movement. You can see the traffic between the different endpoints, and also look for CNC traffic with like endpoints reaching out for different IPs that aren't within the network. But what do you do if you do get infected and an incident is occurring? So you can lock down a complete VLAN or zone, which is why it's recommended that you properly segment your network. And so you can go to the advanced firewall within Crystal. You can add a traffic rule. You can select the zone, so you can select the LAN zone, and then you can set a specific VLAN attached to it. You can set that as the source, and then you can set the destination to any, and so you can block all of that. So any traffic coming from that LAN zone can't reach any other zone, and it can't reach out to any external servers as well. And so it's just locked down and all traffic is restricted. And that's it for me. Thank you for listening to this presentation.
Thank you, Roland. I guess now we can open this session up to questions. If you feel like asking a question on chat, please do so. If you have any insight or guidance to give us around this presentation, please do so. We're keen to see your feedback. We have a lot of bashful people, I guess. Thank you, Peter, for the comment. Any other questions? Anybody else? I'll give it another minute. Okay, I think that's it. So again, I would like to thank you for joining us for this knowledge sprint. Please keep an eye out for the next one. We try our best to come up with some topics that are very entertaining and on point. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Have a great day. Thank you.